Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Satan's that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the fray, and the home of the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to rename the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, Satan's that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the free, and the
Hello there, Jack. I see there's only one person watching. There was two, but whoever the second person was must have left. I will be flying solo tonight, so it's going to be kind of a drag not having anybody here to play off of. I'm doing fine there, Jack. How about yourself? I got a couple things to chit chat before we get to the chit chat and then to the bullshit. Um, Scotty has to go to work early so tonight, so he's not able to tune in. And I see since we only have two people looking in, I am thinking maybe a few people um, didn't get their clocks sprung ahead last night. And so anyway, we'll watch the numbers climb. Um, First of all, I had a doctor's appointment on Monday, and I've been having these terrible sinking feelings in which I had been recording them, and I went to the doctor and I told him that I was recording my blood pressure. At the time, I have a blood pressure cuff, so I was recording them. And when I get these sinking feelings, my blood pressure was dropping below 90, below 60. So I saw him on Monday. We cut my medication in half, and was having these. I was having this terrible pain in my hips whenever I tried to walk. Okay, and I was talking to the doctor about it, and I says, I think the reason I'm having this pain in my hips, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but since my pump only pumps about 30 to 35%, what is happening is when I'm walking, I'm using up more oxygen that's in the blood that's in the need for more oxygen to do that function is more than what's in the blood, even though I have a good oxygen exchange rate that's up around 97, 98. It's just that it can't get enough there. So before I had these sinking feelings, my blood pressure was always running about 108 to 110 over 70, 74. So and it wasn't a daily thing. It would go in spurts. One time it would be once a day, sometimes two, three times a day, and then sometimes not wouldn't have any problems for a week. Well, anyway, we changed the blood pressure medicine, and so far, both times that I've checked it, it is now running 122, 124 over 70 to 80, which is in the good range. And I noticed yesterday, actually, I noticed Friday, when I was pushing my cart of goodies up the ramp to the setup for the gun show, that I was able to push it up that ramp and go all the way to the far end of the room without my hips cramping up. And so I think we hit on it, that my blood pressure was just too low. And today, not only did I make one trip, but I did two trips without that happening. And then today, when I loaded up and went down the ramp, of course, that's the easy part. I didn't have any problems with my hips except for the thigh muscles. And that was by the time I did both trips, it had started to hurt, but then it quit within a couple of minutes after I stopped using it. So I think we're on the right track with the blood pressure being part of my problem with my pain level being so high whenever I try to do anything, because I'm using up the oxygen faster than my blood can pump it to replenish it. So we'll wait and see. And took mother driving one day this week because it was nice. She hasn't been driving since the last time she was ill, and that was sometime I'm going to say last August or September. And she didn't do too bad. And we're expecting some goofy weather the next couple of days. So after this next batch of goofy weather, I take her out and let her drive some more. That'll help take the burden off me all the time. That when she wants to go get something or go to a church social, or not social, but a circle meeting that she belongs to, she can go. I won't have to drive her and hang around. Up until yesterday and Friday yesterday and today, the temperature had been up near 60, 65. But today it's down into the low 40s with a little bit of wind, quite a bit of wind. In fact, when I was driving home, it was blowing my car over around the road, on the road. So no, I did not watch Mumble's speech. What a joke. You're right. I seen enough headlines and stuff in the news this past week that I was not about to watch some jackass get up there and try and make a fool of the nation. I don't know who he's trying to fool, but he sure isn't fooling anybody with some brains. But I'll leave it at that for the time being. So anyway, I was at a gun show this weekend over in Yankee Lake. I'll give you a report on how it went. I didn't do great. I didn't do bad. I did about $1,300 worth of business, but I spent about $600 because I ran across some components that if I use it all up can generate me about $3,000 more. So that's what I did. But my biggest hang up is still primers and the small ones, especially when I run out of them, it's going to be just small rifle, large rifle, and large pistol until I run out of those. I got the powder, just need the primers. So anyway, a lot of AR-15 supplies there. Talking upper receivers, lower receiver groups, 80% receivers, parts, recoil springs, buffers, firing pins. I don't know if I don't remember seeing any extractors, but if you have an AR-15, you definitely want to get yourself at least an extra firing pin and at least an extra extractor. And when you get that extra extractor, if you've ever taken your extractor out, there is a little nylon bushing underneath there with a spring on it. It's only got like 2 or 3 coil spring. But you got to watch that because when that flattens out, then the extractor doesn't want to work the way it's supposed to. So you want to double check in on that. And I see out there in the Midwest, they're having trouble with a storm. I don't know how it's going to affect us, if it's going to hit us with a nail or if it's going to pass by with just a little thumbtack or a bee sting. But anyway, something else that was kind of interesting about that show, there was quite a bit of ammo, but I'd never seen the labels on this ammo before. So I don't know where this one guy had it. He had about 5 tables full of ammo. And I don't know where he got it. Looks like a lot of foreign made stuff. I know there was a lot of Red Russian Russian Red Army. I'll get it out yet. Yeah. Ammo there. But the prices were quite sticky wicket. And I just didn't have, there was one person there that had some good prices on some 380, but since I had already spent $600, I could not justify buying anything more because I'm sorry. I know I'm working on my taxes. I owe them $2,500 yet from last year for 2020. I now have enough after this show to I now have enough to send them a check for half of the 2,500, which means that by the time I get this order done that I've got, it's part of the reason why I was buying supplies. So I got a person that wants 509 millimeter, 538 specials, and 522s. Well, I was able to locate some 22s. Not 500 of them, but I got them 400, so that's going to make them somewhat happy. And I now have the components to load 538 special and 9 millimeter until some more parts come in. So I will be busy continuing to try and stuff some of that. Um, there was a lot of older military grade ammo there. Military surplus, 8 millimeter, 303 British, 7 millimeter. But I probably could have got it, but at the prices they were wanting for it, I just thought it might be a little bit too expensive because of the age and how it was stored. It might not work. If it's stored properly, it'll last 100 years, but I don't know how it was stored. So it could have been in this guy's garage for the last 10 or 15 years, who knows. But anyway, so I didn't get it. But there was ammo there, except for a few calibers. 223 was hard to find. There was some wolf there. I think there might have been some. I think there was some Red Army 223 there, and but that's about it. Saw a lot of AR-15s on shoulders. I couldn't tell if they were going out the door, if they were coming in for sale. Saw several AKs go out the door. The people had bought there, I have no idea what the price was. And I had people ask me, "Do you have any 7.62 by 39 ammo?" And I says, "No." I said, "This guy over there, it's got, yeah." He says he's got a tin. He wants $375 for the tin. And I said, "Well, I'm not gonna tell you not to buy it." I says, if that's the caliber you need to jump on it. Yeah. Yeah, Jack, you're right. This stuff was not 1980. I think this was right around the middle of World War II. But based on the packaging it was in. But you're right. I used to have a 303 British, and I shot a lot of military surplus through it, but it wasn't that old of stuff. It came from the 80s. But this stuff was so old that even the brass was tarnished and had corrosion starting to eke out around the primers. So that kind of steered me away from buying any of that to pass on to anybody. That would be strictly for shoot 'em in target practice. Then clean your gun afterwards, because obviously if it was corroding around the primer, it was probably corrosive priming. So I don't see no Emmy tonight. Is she out there shoveling snow? Or is she knee deep in the mud from the rain that was supposedly going through there? But yeah, my anti-mosquito medicine went out. Yeah, I'll set it down for here and take a sip of coffee. I'm running on low batteries, obviously because of the show. And that. Yeah, I think she's getting blasted by the storm. But you're probably right, Jack. If she should tune in, we can all say hi. And if she doesn't make it, she can always tune in to the show later during the week and go to the archives. I gotta stop and collect my thoughts, guys. Um, well, I see there's 3 people listed as being out there. Is the other 2 want to identify themselves? It's got Jack Flash, and who's the other 2? Oh yeah, an interesting thing happened at the gun show. Yes, no, yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I had just come back from going to the little boy room and letting the air out of my tires. When I got back to my tables, and there was a gentleman approached me and asked me if I was so and so, and I said yeah. So he reached into his wallet and brought me out a $20 bill. And I said, "What's this for?" He says, "Well, this is for you and Braveheart Radio." Oh, okay. Well, I don't know him from Adam. I have a problem with people's names for one thing, but I don't recollect seeing this gentleman before. But then again, if it was in the midst of a crowd, I probably wouldn't remember. But I wanted to thank him if he's listening, because I assume that he's listening. Because right now, the weather has affected my transmitter again. I gotta, oh, I gotta get a decent week or a couple days to get out there and put the standby antenna up to find out um, if that's wrong with our transmitter, because it keeps saying check antenna, check antenna. Now, last Sunday it wouldn't run through the entire show, so I shut it off, and then just before I walked out the door, I turned it on and walked out. That thing played until sometime Saturday morning. So I have to think that maybe the temperature is what's causing the problem, but it shouldn't affect all that stuff unless the temperature in the studio here gets a little bit too low. Of course, I can't afford to heat it to say 75 degrees all winter long because it's just too expensive. So anyway, um, all in all, good show. All in all, a good week, except for the stupid shit that I've seen on the internet. And um, supplies don't seem to be getting any easier to find out there or any cheaper. And I don't know if you noticed, I switched over to use a different mic rather than this one here because the switching it doesn't want to turn on and off, and I have to plug it in, plug it from the mixing board. So anyway, okay, if you guys have anything you want to chit chat about on the headlines, I'll be glad to look at what you sent me or send me, and then I will try to respond accordingly. Of course, I will probably be a little bit slow, which I've known to be that way. But here's the thing that pissed me off, among other things. I thought this lady had dried up and blown away, but I guess she hasn't. They must be pumping her full of fluids to keep her from shriveling up and blowing away. Dianne Feinstein, off of Newsmax. Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, Californicators, has introduced a bill that would ban the sale and transfer, manufacture, and importation of 205 specific models of rifles and firearms she dubbed military-style assault weapons, and requiring existing weapons be stored in a secure gun storage. And Feinstein's bill comes after the House passed 2 gun control measures. Remember what I said? House passed 2. Comes after the House passed 2 gun control measures, largely along party lines, which expanded background checks to virtually any firearm, and another which would expand the waiting period to at least 10 days and give the FBI the authority to delay the purchase indefinitely. That's what I think about that. Um, okay, it's been 17 years since the original assault weapons ban expired, and the plague of gun violence continues to grow in this country, Feinstein said in a release on her website. To clear this, to be clear, this bill saves lives. Well, bullshit. The only way you're going to save lives is teach people to have some moral fortitude. Um, the bill, which has 34 co-sponsors, all Democrats, and self-declaring Democrat socialist Bernie Sanders, the good old commie, would grandfather existing weapons but provide money to states for buyback programs. The legislation would also ban ammunition magazines that carry more than 10 rounds, similar to the laws of New York and California. The communist states of New York and California got their fingers in the pot again. The companion House bill was introduced in the lower chamber by David Circline, Democrat from Rhode Island. What's wrong with that Rhode Island up there for crying? I know they're too close to Massachusetts. The website bearinggrams.com claimed that the bill would still make the most commonly sold centerfire rifles in the United States off limits to future buyers, as well as imposing a ban on the most commonly owned ammunition magazines in the country as well. The National Shooting Sports Federation indicate there are more than 20 million modern sporting rifles in the United States. Well, good for you, but I have a feeling that you are totally wrong on that. There are probably a lot more than 20 million sporting rifles out there. And if you really want to know the truth, in the hands of a good marksman, your so-called sporting rifle would be a lot deadlier than the military-style assault weapons. Of course, they aren't smart enough to know that because they think, oh, it's got 10 rounds, it's got 20 rounds, it's got 30 rounds. They can just spray that down there and every one of them bullets is going to hit somebody. That don't work that way. I don't care how much Hollywood shows you that they take a row of bottles and they fire a burst from the machine gun and they take all the bottles out with a bullet hitting every one. It don't work that way. I've owned a few full autos in my day, and it just don't work that way, and I was pretty proficient on that. Multiple hits, yes, but to spray a whole line and put one bullet in each bottle, it don't work that way. So these people have no idea what they're doing. They're blowing smoke up their own ass. Not up mine or yours. We all know that they don't know, but they don't care because that is not their agenda. Their agenda is to destroy this country, and you have to get that thought impounded. I know I'm talking to the choir here, but you have to get that message impounded into your head. That's right. A bolt action rifle will do that, and if you're a good marksman, one shot, one hit. I won't say kill because that would be a nasty thing to say, but one shot, one hit would take the person or a perpetrator out of the picture. Anyway, you made me lose my thought, Jack. Gosh. Anyway, if you have anybody that's on your Facebook or your Twitter accounts or whatever else you got out there, send them a message and tell them to tune in, because that's all right. It's easily done there, Jack. Very easily done. I do it to myself sometimes. Um, I'm getting to be like Biden, I think. And although I know what I'm talking about when I get my thoughts chained together, not like him. Mr. T is not going to make it tonight, obviously. So, um, anyhow, we have done. I'm going to take a small music break here. I'm going to have to do that because of my voice and stuff in order. Hey, Cannabis, you're late. I hope it was because of the storm and not the fact that you forgot to push your clock ahead. Okay, I'm going to come up with a. Give me a minute. I'll come up with a song or two so I can rest my voice.
cowboy went riding out one knocking wind today. Upon a ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd arrives to the song, out through the ragged skies and the clouded dawn. Their brands are still on fire and their hoofs are made of steel. Their horns are black and shiny and their hot breath he could feel. The bolt was there through him as they thundered through the sky. Saw the riders coming hard, heard a doleful cry. Those riders in, those riders in the sky. Those riders in the sky. Their faces gone, their eyes blurred, and shirts all soaked with sweat. They're riding hard to catch that herd, but they ain't caught it yet. Cause they've got to ride forever on that range up in the sky. All horses snorting fire as they ride on near the cry. Those riders in, those riders in the sky. Those riders in the sky.
Okay, I guess we're back. Hi, Emmy. I hope it isn't anything too serious that you're sick from. Um, we're up to 5 watchers now. Okay, good. Yep, there's nothing wrong with being a cowboy. Remember, cowboys have long rifles. I won't say no more than that. Um, remember, I'm not sure how far back this goes, but Congress had voted to divest itself of any savings accounts or stuff with the Chinese banks. Well, it turns out that not all of them have done it. Democrat holding Chinese bank account despite pushing U.S. to diverse from or divest from China. Representative Vincent Gonzalez, Democrat of Texas, kept between 100 and 250,000 in Chinese bank account for several years, despite urging the U.S. to divest itself from China, according to the Washington Free Beacon. This, by the way, came off of Newsmax.com. Financial disclosure forms show that between 2017 and 2020, Gonzalez had an account with the Bank of China that held at least six figures between 100 to $250,000, earning between 250 or 2,500 to 5,000 in interest during each of those years. He also kept 100,000 in an account with the HSB, the Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, which moved its headquarters to London in 1990 but remains a close ally of the ruling Chinese government. I lost my thing here. Congressman Gonzalez has fully complied with disclosure requirements for this investment, a spokesman told the Free Beacon. He may have met the requirements of disclosure, but did he do what he was pushing for? Actions speak louder than words, asshole. Anyway, in 2020, Gonzalez introduced legislation and Reclaiming American Rare Earths Rare Act to reduce the country's dependence upon China for mineral resources used to manufacture modern technology. Ending our dependence on China starts today, the congressman said in late September. The RARE Act, which will allow the United States to develop a reliable domestic supply of crucial minerals and rare earth elements and eliminate the pressure point that could have lasting impacts on our national security and, most of all, our way of life. This is shocking. Okay, back up. He should be investing his money in American Bank, putting Americans first, American communities first. Monica de la Cruz Hernandez, who ran against Gonzalez as a Republican in 2020 and plans to challenge him again in 2022, told News 4 in San Antonio. This is shocking and disturbing that a U.S. representative who would have his money tied with a China bank, our greatest adversaries yet. All banks profit from having money in their banks, whether it is in a checking or a savings account. Hernandez said they're able to use that money to loan to other people, charge outrageous interest prices. The congressman's press secretary told News 4 that Gonzalez has closed the account and that the Bank of China is insured and operates under U.S. law. China banks reported that better than expected lending data in February, causing stocks in the company to jump this week, according to returns. So you see what you're doing? You give the Chinese money, they're using it to finance their military to take over the country and the world. What the F is wrong with you people? Let's see. Gonzalez said in a statement in 2018, shortly after returning from a trip to China and other Asian countries as part of a bipartisan congressional delegation, that only by engaging with China can we secure fair market access and intellectual property protection. Yeah, for businesses in the 15th District of Texas. I look forward to continuing this dialogue and working with the two governments to expand economic opportunity for Central and South Texas. You want to expand it? Stop investing in China and put the money towards what? Oh, maybe that would be opening up industry in the United States and putting people back to work. What a strange concept. No, I'd rather give it all to China and let them do it. Let them have the headache, and we'll just turn out money by the bushel basketful and give it to the people in the form of overdrawn stimulus checks. Okay. I had a comment. I kind of got ahead of than what I wanted to do, so I'm going to back up. Back up. Whoa, horse. Whoa, back up. Back up. When I says back up, I says back up. Anyway, it is time, with these three bills being introduced through Congress and two of them passing the House of Representatives, that the people in this country, if they want to keep this country, want to keep their freedoms, need to send a very strongly worded message to their congressmen. Don't beat around the bush. Just make it plain and simple and clear. That way they can't misinterpret it. The message should read to the extent of, if you pass this legislation, I guess it would be your senators because it's already passed the House. But anyway, if you pass this legislation, you are declaring open war on the American public. You're not declaring a paper war. You're declaring a blood war. And the people's, in the area where I was at today, the people's tempers are growing very, very, very short. So you need to send the letters to your congressman or call them, and don't beat around the bush. Make it perfectly clear. We're not going to take it. You're going to start a blood war, not on paper, but in blood. Then you need to get a hold of your state legislatures. And you need to tell them that they need to pass legislation nullifying that law that Congress is passing, that it will not be obeyed or honored, and anybody from the federal government that comes into their state to enforce or try to enforce any of those laws are subject to arrest, including the head of each department, all the way up to the treasonous bastards that sit at the White House. Civil disobedience, which is, we've already been trying that, and it isn't working. So the only thing they understand is, I guess, is a lead pill. Let's just put it that way. So we have to get tough, and we have to just no beating around the bush anymore. It just has to be made perfectly clear. Now, I got some information the other day. I was already committed to this gun show, but here in Meadville, there was a conference going on out at the Westmead No. 2 Fire Hall. I'm assuming it went on. I haven't heard anything different. But the 3 percenters, the Tea Party, other Republicans, and other groups were getting together to organize organize some sort of response to these conditions that are coming out of Washington. I will be probably trying to get a hold of one of the persons that I know that was there to get an update if he doesn't call me beforehand. So when I do, if I can get them by next week, I will give you an update on what was the results were. I'm hoping nothing more than, I'm hoping it's not window dressing. Let's put it this way. And because it is now down to the wire, kids. And I don't know how long it'll take to pass through the Senate, but if they were able to ramrod these legislations through since January the 20th, and it is now March the, what is today, the 13th, just about 60 days. How long will it take them to ram it through the Senate? Probably about 60 days. And how long will it take for those laws and stuff to go into effect? They will probably have a 90-day window in which to implement that stuff or start implementing it. So we are now looking 6 months, 5 months from now. 5 months from now, this is the third day. We're talking maybe critical mass by August or September. And you have to excuse me. I was drinking a cup of good strong coffee with a couple spoons of sugar-free chocolate and a couple spoons of coffee mate, making sort of like a Swiss mocha. And it's not too bad tasting. Your taste for it would be developed based on how strong you like your coffee. And I like my coffee pretty strong because it works as a laxative. Keeps me loose most of the time. So just remember that. Okay. Yeah, Jack, I'm surprised they don't send the National Guard home and have the China troops guarding the Capitol. Well, that might be right at the present moment because none of the National Guard troops have made any threatening statements or moves down there around the Capitol where they're at. I'm only assuming that that's it. But I would venture to say that the first sign or hint of any rebellion at that end would dawn the bringing in of UN troops. They wouldn't dare just come right out and say Chinese. We're going to have to call them UN troops. After all, we are part of the UN, are we not? Yes. Okay. So, well, we're sorry, Emmy. I hope you get better quick. We will hopefully see you next week if the creeks don't rise. And Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. So, anyhow, good night, dear, and take a double shot of whiskey and some tea. Irish whiskey, if you got it, with a dash of lemon, and that should just sweat you, make you sweat like, well, let's just make it sweat like hell. And so, okay, guys, let's see here. Where am I? I got a couple minutes before we come to the top of the hour. I don't have anything real quick like. So if you don't mind, I am going to put on another piece of music or two and go turn my transmitter on and see if I can get it to stay going through tomorrow. So just let me get you started.
Expect no mercy, expect killing, they're hiding in the night. Expect no mercy. Expect no mercy. Expect no mercy. Expect no mercy.
Well, kids, if that's the music going, we'll see how long this thing goes. Well, that was the end of that. Short, quick. Wow.
When they see us, they will run for their lives. To the end, they will pay for their lives. So long did we wait. Now we are home. Here, once again, there's a battle to fight. Gathered together for the sound and the might. So long did we wait. Now we are home. Now we will fight for the kingdom. Fighting we steal. Kill all of them. Their blood is our seal. Fight till the last of the enemy is dead. Ride to their blood that we gladly have shed. I now issue the call. Are you ready to fight? Yeah, fight up together as one for the right to be free once again. Tonight we will win. I can see by the look that you have in your eyes. You came here for battle, to fight and to die. Defenders of steel, now we are home. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel. For their kingdom, fighting with steel. Kill all of them, their blood is our seal. Fight till the last of the enemy is dead. Ride through their blood that we gladly have shed. Now issue the call. Are you ready to fight? Fight all together as one for the right to be free once again. Tonight we will win. I can see by the look that you have in your eyes. You came here for battle, to fight and to die. Defenders of steel, now we are home. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel.
Well, we's a back. We's is. And that's one thing about the music here in the station. Um, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So I'm sorry to see you go, Emmy, but hope you're feeling better, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's see. I saw here, Jack, where you asked Mick if he noticed all the mumbles by appearance Kamala. Yeah, the chameleon has been waiting in the wings. I've noticed that too. Almost every time I see him now on a news feed, she is standing off to the side. Let's see. Facing like that. I think she's been standing off to his right. And um, yeah, she's like his handler, but she's doing a very good job of making it look like Biden's the president, you know. She's doing a very good job of hiding her presidency. Let's just put it that way. All right, now I gotta go back to my transmitter. It decided to kick out again, so I gotta shut it off. It don't want to work tonight. I'll come down here in a day or two when it's warmer, and we'll try firing it up again. Like you say, it ran for a week when it was warm, so maybe that's just air's temperature is too cold. I don't know. Let's see. Where was I? Let's see. Do I want to do that? No, not just yet. That one. And this one kind of go together. Oh yes, I know what I want to talk about. I know what it's all I want to talk about. Unfortunately, the headlines was cut off, but this came from the Washington Examiner. It's about an executive order. Let's see. Taxpayers will now foot the bill for gender. That's it. Gender reassessment surgery for active military personnel and veterans, with some treatments costing as much as $200,000 under an executive order signed by El Presidente and Dictator, the chief redhead himself. Oh, he's not red, he's gray. Biden. Tucked inside Biden's January 25th transgender order, enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform, is a cause that repeals an Obama-era policy that prohibits federally funded reassignment surgery that was followed up by memos from both Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and Veterans Affairs Secretary Dennis Donahue, specifically stating that surgery is now an added benefit. So if you don't like who you are, you can go and have your dick cut off. Now, what I'd like to know is, what about the females that want to be a male? Are they going to graft them one? Anyway, this revised policy will also ensure all medically necessary transitions related care authorized by law is available to all service members, Austin wrote. In a VA mail to employees, McDonald echoed, perform an assessment of the necessity steps to eliminate the exclusion of gender-altered gender affirmation surgery in the medical benefits package. What a crock of shit. All I can say, what a crock of shit. These people are so fucking sick. I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I've done it in the past, and I'm going to do it again. I'm taking my American flag, and I'm going to turn it upside down, and I put it out and hang it. That's right. International distress signal. On the way to and from the gun show this weekend, I saw an American flag that was flying upside down. And I said, well, I was going to do that about 2 weeks ago, and I got busy and I didn't do it. But you know what? Come Monday, I would have done it today, but I had to get home here, have my supper, and then do this show. Come Monday, morning, before I do anything else, I'm going to get my American flag and turn it upside down and put it out for everybody to see. And hopefully, you kids out there, if you hear this, put your American flag upside down. It is legal and it is recognized as an international distress signal. I'll repeat that. It is legal. It is recognized as an international distress signal. And if this country isn't in distress, I don't know what we are. Um, Let me tell you this, Uncle Bob, or G.I. Joseph. This was the plan all along when Kamala Harris pulled out of the preliminaries. The plan was brokered then. She pulled out, and she would be made Biden's vice president candidate, with Biden making the statement at that time he was only an interim president, which means he knew he was not going to serve his full time, that his medical condition was going to make him have to step down, and that she was the one who was going to step up. So just stop and think about that, guys. This was a done deal back in the spring, and don't be surprised. I'm giving them, with all the shit that I've been hearing out there, I'm still giving him a 6-month deadline from when he was sworn in. And I've been hearing that a lot of the world leaders are no longer calling and talking to Mumbles, but are talking to her, which means even the world leaders now recognize who is really being in charge. Okay, I'll repeat that. Even the world leaders now recognize who's being in charge. So, and that, yeah, Kamala has her assets, all right. No, Biden has her assets. Old Gropey Joe, I think she thought she had a nice little rump there. So he being her, she being his vice president, he could get close to her and give her a pat once in a while, and nobody would think nothing of it. Then again, of course, she might be the type of person that would like that. I don't know. I mean, there are people like that. So, anyway. All right, I was starting to set things up, and I saw that. Let me have a minute here, kids. Let me have a minute. When the train wrecks, the engine comes off the track. Okay, I got it. Before I go any further on anything else, have any of you heard just exactly how much it costs the taxpayers to get a $1,400 stimulus check? And this is each and every taxpayer. The $1.9 trillion Chinese virus bailout. In order for you to get your $1,400, the federal government is spending $17,000 for each American that's getting the $1,400 check. Okay, so where's it going? It's going to, well, I don't have the exact figures, so don't hold me to the exact figures. I'm just going to use some guesses here. Some of it's going to the municipalities, but they're not allowed to do anything to help the taxpayers by reducing the taxes. For example, say maybe property tax, so that people can have some more money to spend. But about a third of it is going to foreign aid. It's going to other countries. Then a good portion is going to, like I said, to bail out the cities and states. And then there are several other pork barrel things going on, like the Council of the Arts and what have you, you name it. They got their fingers in there. They're getting a slice of the pie. Um, what do you mean it was a failure, Joseph? Biden had two. Was a TD. Was the brain surgery to prevent him from becoming a walker? I'm sorry, it failed. He is a walker. Yeah, 9% of the whole bill actually goes to COVID release. I knew you guys would have the figures out here. That's why I call on you, because I got so many things going through my mind that I don't always keep the figures straight. Still fighting to figure out how to pay my taxes. By the way, I do have enough money after this last show to pay at least half of the taxes I owe for last year now. That'll leave me just about $1,200 for last year. In which case, I can start working on figuring out how to pay 2021. But I've got a couple ideas of what I'm thinking. And it all depends on what happens with when I get my stimulus check, if I get my stimulus check, because I still haven't got my $600 one yet, even though I filed my taxes and it was accepted on February the 11th. So I have no idea when that's coming. And I have no idea when the so-called $1,400 one is coming. But I am, like I said before, I am seriously considering taking that money and putting it into my undisclosed location and finishing up so Mother and I can go up there when when we decide that it's no longer economically feasible for us to keep paying the property tax to hang on to this property. So that's why you guys need to, next show, not tonight, but next show, if you can remember, figure out some of the different satellite places that I can get internet connection, because I will continue broadcasting by satellite through the internet after I go up there. Maybe down for a month or two, but I will be back, and we'll go from there. But you guys think about it and have them ready for me next week. And in fact, if you send them to me by way of email, I will be able to print them out so that I can keep them, so I can search at them at my leisure. Now, I know somebody said something about Starlink. I put that on there, Uncle Bob, and they could not tell me if they had if it was in position of the satellite to be able to pick them up. But if it was going to cost me $100 a month. Well, I can't afford $100 a month. So, be that as it may, we'll keep working. Of course, if I get out of here and don't have to pay that $300 a month property tax, I could possibly do that. So, anyhow, there you go, kids. That's my give and take on the coronavirus, the Chinese virus bailout. I don't care what they call it. Mr. Biden, I said it, and you said it's illegal to say that. So why don't you come down here and we'll discuss it? And it. Yeah, DirecTV. I thought about them. I never had the I had the satellite, but I never had the internet connection. But a lot of that would be dependent upon how many gigabytes it's rated for, or something like that. I don't know. I know. With Armstrong, they have 3 different levels of speed that you can use. And so I don't know much. I just know enough to be dangerous. And, okay, let's see. All right. We'll do this one. And then I think we'll take another. I know you might be getting tired of the music, but we'll take another. I will take another music break. This is out of WorldNet Daily. First appeared in the Daily Caller. It was published March the 11th. The Oklahoma House passed the bill Wednesday that extended punishment for rioters and grants of immunity to drivers who injure or kill someone while fleeing a riot, USA Today reported. House Bill 1674, introduced by the Republican State Representative Kevin West, would allow prosecutors to charge rioters with misdemeanor for interfering with traffic and endangering drivers. If passed, motor vehicle operators would not face criminal or civil charges for hitting a rioter if they were fleeing for the safety or exercise due. Gotta turn the page. Due care at the time of injury or death. The bill defines a rioter anyone committing violence or robbery during a protest, according to the Courthouse News Service. Rioters can face a criminal charge and imprisonment. They should. If they don't go to jail for criminal activity when they riot, that is why they continue to do it. Lock their damn asses up. Give them bread and water for 30 days. Anyway, there's such a thing as a protest peaceful, and such a thing as protest rioters. If any murder, maiming, robbery, rape, or arson was committed in the course of such a riot, such person is punishable in the same manner as the principal in such crime, the bill text says. Such persons shall, upon conviction, be guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment. Finally, somebody's getting the idea that they're going to try and put the clamps on these bastards. Okay, now, it's only passed in one house, so it's got to go to the other. But let's see. West described an incident where Black Lives Matter protests surrounded an Oklahoma driver, which caused the driver to harm the protesters. Oh, that's just too bad. Did he leave ink spots in the road or something? The driver was severely chastised for trying to hurt the protesters, and he even faced the possibility of criminal charges for his actions in attempting to erase the protesters, West said, according to the Courthouse News Service. This measure would clarify a motorist's rights in similar situations going forward. Supporters of the bill said that the legislation only targets protesters participating in violence, but that the peaceful protesters are fully supported. They should be. I fully agree that peaceful protesters are a right of the peaceful protests are the right of the people, and I condone anyone who wants to protest peacefully, said the state representative Kevin McDougal, co-author of the bill, according to the Hill. Once anyone impedes the freedoms of others, however, the protest is no longer peaceful. He added, this bill simply says, please stay to the peaceful protest. Don't block roads. Don't impede the freedom of others. Oklahoma House Democrats criticized the bill. Unfortunately, who figured, well, why wouldn't we know that? Let's see. Oklahoma House Democrats criticized the bill, saying it targets protesters for fighting systematic racism and refusing to dig into the root cause of the protest. I don't care what the root cause of the protest is. There's no reason for violence upon somebody else who may not have had nothing to do with the so-called root cause. Maybe the way to prevent something like this from ever happening again is to make reforms on the broader systematic issue, says Representative State Monroe Nichols. Nichols added that he dreads telling his 12-year-old son that the Oklahoma House would allow fighters of systematic racism to be run over. The bill it says it would take effect on November 11th of 2021 if passed. So, you see how they turn and twist? The Democrats don't want to do anything. They don't want to protect anybody. But yet when somebody comes along and wants to try and give them some protection, they stick their long-trotted racism candle into the mix, or racism pill into the mix. And I'm getting so tired of everything being called anti-race or racist. Racist. That's racist. We can't do that. That's racist. These people were protesting the something or other. Well, what the hell do you think they're doing? If you allow them to protest and hurt people, don't you think that's a racial activity on their part? Tit for tat type thing? You got to break it somehow. Of course, they don't want to break it. We know that. They want to continue the race hate card to the commies to take over, and then when the commies get fully entrenched, you won't have this problem anymore because they will exterminate. They will exterminate all these different people that they use to get them there. So at that point, kids, I'm going to take another music break because I am seriously running out of real live steam here. So once again, just bear with me and we'll be back in a minute.
Crush all infidels and stray. Time to know the pain, but no time to run within. And these hands you see before you will end the light of day. Your ashes will be cast into the wind. Your blood's upon the soil, your body fed to wolves. Not one of you will be left alive. Hear the sound pounding at the army of the night. By the hammer of Thor you now shall die. Tonight we strike, there is thunder in the sky. Together we'll fight, some of us will die. We'll always remember that we made a stand, and many will die by my hand. We are high atop the mountain, with hammers in the wind, lusting for blood and death again. In a flash of lightning strike, now the house of death invites you, body and soul to come within. I see the fear you have inside, you can run but never hide. I will hunt you down and tear you limb from limb. Nothing shall remain, not your memory or name. It will be as though you never ever lived. Tonight we strike, there is thunder in the sky. Together we'll fight, some of us will die. We'll always with hammers in the wind, lusting for blood and death again. In a flash of lightning strike, now the house of death invites you, body and soul to come within. I see the fear you have inside. You can run but never hide. I will hunt you down and tear you limb from limb. Nothing shall remain, not your memory or name. It will be as though you never, ever lived. Tonight we strike, there is thunder in the sky. Together we'll fight, and some of us will die. But we'll always remember that we made a stand, and many will die by my hand. Tonight we strike, there is thunder in the sky. Together we'll fight, some of us will die. They'll always remember that we made a stand. Many will die by my hand. Tonight we strike, there is thunder in the sky. Together we'll fight, some of us will die. But they'll always remember that we made a stand. And many will die by my hand. They will die. They will die. They will die by my hand. They will die. They will die by my hand. They will die by my
Weekend night, I'm at the Boatyard Grill. I got decisions to be made between Lauderdale. Into the kitchen door come the dancing girls, and everything on the menu matters. She'll nod at this drunken bar slop. She'll nod at this drunken bar slop. Over to the jukebox, I staggered for a love song to scatter my body before her. Didn't have change and I lost my damn brains, so I started humming in the Galleria.
She'll not at this drunken bar slop. Hey, I'll pay for your bar tab and leave the cab, baby. Off to the hotel, Will.
Okay, kids, we're back. I just reading some of your comments there. G.I. Joseph, what has all pissed off the most? The gun grab laws, the federal election control grab, or the $1 trillion+ bailout? It's hard to prioritize, okay? But the one that probably, to me, is the gun grab, because if they take the gun grab away, we can't do anything about straightening out the election or stopping the assholes from bailing out the world and putting us into debt further. So think about it and let us know what you think, but that's my feeling. The gun grab is the most important. Federal election law control grab, that's next, and then the $1 trillion+ bailout. That would be my priorities. And if I had a way of stopping any of them, that would be good. But it don't look like that. So anyhow. All right. We got about not quite 20 minutes here because I'm going to call it quits a few minutes early because I'm getting washed out and there's only about 3 listening. So we'll cover a couple things about the border. And then we're going to hang it up until next week, and hopefully Scotty or even Mr. T can be here to help carry on the stuff. And I don't have a gun show that week. So, in fact, I don't have a gun show for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 to 5 weeks from now. Okay. Texas sheriff drops Biden bomb. Feds are inviting, repeat that, are inviting rejected immigrants back. Biden, feds are inviting rejected immigrants back to this country. The Trump administration made the enforcement of U.S. immigration laws a priority. In addition to put an end to the catch and release policy under which illegal immigrants were released into U.S. cities, former President Trump forced concessions from Mexican president and ordered the asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while waiting for their hearings. His administration also built or replaced 450 miles of border wall. It still hasn't. Biden still hasn't come out to say he's going to tear it down. I mean, he wants to tear it down, but I don't know if it's going to go that far. Trump had to fight every step of the way for each gain, sometimes against members of his own party. However, by the time he left office, the border crisis had peaked in January 2019 and was largely under control. In other words, he got it under control. Maybe not 100%, but he got it down to where it was about manageable. Sadly, once President Joe Biden took office, the Trump policies that were responsible for alleviating the crisis were immediately reversed. Now, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen at least two stories now in the last week to 10 days, if I'm not mistaken, where the border control has stopped on one occasion 100 106 or tested 106 illegals that tested positive. But what did they do? Instead of putting them in quarantine, they took them to the bus station and put them on a bus and shipped them out to wherever they had tickets for, and that included New Jersey and New York. Now, these were positive tests for whatever the positive tests. But I realize these positive tests could be 40% faulty. Even still, if you got 106 and 40%, that means 60 of them may be carriers of it and are going to spread it. And that's just the first one. Let's see. I've already made that decision up a long time ago, Joseph. I'm not going for the COVID-19 or the China virus 19, and neither is my wife. It's a I'm not downplaying the severity of the illness, and I'm not saying it isn't deadly. But when you have the death rate of any particular pandemic is only 2% or less, it is not a pandemic. I don't give a shit what these fucking medical experts claim to be. This COVID-19 has been a gigantic brainwashing drill to see how far they can push the American people into vis-a-vis wearing a mask. That's right. You imagine 2 years ago, if you walked into a bank with a mask over your face, what would have happened? When you come out, you would have been swamped by a SWAT team, ready to shoot your ass and jump on you with 30 or 40 of them and put you in a chokehold because you were wearing a mask. You fit the scale of what? Well, an armed robber. Because what do they usually do? Any of them with a brain always try to cover part of their face to prevent facial identification. But here they are telling you that everywhere you go, you gotta wear a mask. You know what I say about that? Got a great big one on there, and now, I've also been doing reading on how to prevent yourself from getting the COVID virus. And one of the reasons why Americans got hit so hard was because we are so undernourished. Our immune system is so undernourished in the key vitamins that prevent these illnesses. Vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin E, magnesium, zinc, antioxidants, and several others that I can't think of right off the top of my head. So, by the way, Joe, I want to clear it up. It's not that I'm not feeling good. I'm just tired. I had a gun show today and yesterday, and it was busy, but for some reason today's show just tired me out. But since you weren't here at the beginning of this show, Joe, I will fill this in on to you. I went to the doctor at the beginning of the month or beginning of the week because I was having, for a routine heart doctor for a routine heart checkup. And I was having this sinking feeling. So every time I got the sinking feeling, I checked my blood pressure, and my blood pressure dropped below 90 and down below 60. So I kept an eye on it for a couple of months, and I went to see him this week, and we cut my one heart medicine in half, and it's kind of strange. Some of the problems I was having, I no longer have. One of them was whenever I walk, because my hip is going bad. So whenever I walk, my hip would start to hurt, and I couldn't go very far. And I mentioned that to the doc, and I says, "Well, doc, I know my heart can't pump more than 35%. I realize that. That's why I'm probably having that problem because I'm using up more oxygen than can be brought to it. I have good oxygen exchange rate. It's like 97, 98%. So he said, well, we'll cut it in half. And he says, keep an eye on it. And you should start to know something in about uh, 10 days to 2 weeks. Well, Friday, when I was setting up for the gun show, I had to push a cart up a ramp and into the fairly large building. I was way in the back. And I got there and I didn't have any pain in my hip. I said, well, good. That's a good sign. Maybe the heart pill was the problem. So I went back out and got the second load and brought it in through the same way. And I didn't have any problem with my hip. Gee, must be that my blood pressure was too low that whenever I did any activity, it wasn't pumping enough blood to reoxygenate the tissue or the cells. So, as it stands right now, it looks like it's working, and we're going to keep at it, and we're going to keep an eye on it. And I haven't had any sinking feelings, and I have checked my blood pressure to make sure it hasn't gone sky roofing. And today it was 124 over 80, I believe, which would be in perfectly good, acceptable ranges. Before they cut the pill in half, my daily rate would be somewhere between 100 and 110. That's the top. The bottom was always down in between 60 and 70, which is still in the good range, but just not enough oxygen being transported because of the pump factor. So anyway, well, on that note, I'm going to leave you on a happy note. I'm feeling tired, not sick, and I'm not taking the flu shot. The only shot that you're going to hear coming around me will be one that I send downfield if the bastards come after me. So anyway, oh yeah, I started to mention this at the beginning of the show. The tension in this country is growing leaps and bounds. I had a friend that I know who goes to the shows quite often. It's very calm, very mannerly spoken. But when I mentioned Dianne Feinstein and her 205 gun bill that she was wanting to pass, he come unglued and started to use the F word, and he never does that. So anyway, at that point, kids, if the creeks don't rise and the Lord is willing, I and myself, Scott, which will be the three of us, will be here next week. And I don't have a gun show, so hopefully I won't be quite as tired, unless, of course, the weather is nice and I'm out cutting firewood. So at that point, kids, good night, and thanks for tuning in, and try and get us some more listeners. Spread the word out there. I know I'm not the best host, but I'll give you the best straight shot on the news that I can give you. And I'm not one of these that likes to color code it either. It's right straight, so you don't misinterpret. Okay, guys. Good night. Thanks for tuning in.